King Louis XVI of France, born Louis Auguste, emerged as a pivotal figure in the history of France, symbolizing the end of the Bourbon monarchy and the dawn of the French Revolution. His reign was marked by political turmoil, economic instability, and social unrest, culminating in his tragic demise on the guillotine. This essay endeavors to delve into the life and reign of Louis XVI, examining his early years, his ascension to the throne, his struggles as a ruler, and his eventual downfall. Louis Auguste was born on August 23, 1754, in the Palace of Versailles, the third son of the Dauphin Louis, the heir apparent to the French throne, and Maria Josepha of Saxony. His upbringing was shaped by the strict protocols and opulent lifestyle of the French royal court. As a child, he received a traditional education befitting his royal status, focusing on subjects like history, languages, and military tactics. Louis Auguste's life took a dramatic turn when, at the age of 15, he was thrust into an arranged marriage with Archduchess Marie Antoinette of Austria, cementing a political alliance between France and Austria. The young couple's marriage faced initial challenges due to their cultural differences and the pressure to produce an heir to the throne. In 1774, upon the death of his grandfather, King Louis V, Louis Auguste ascended to the throne as Louis XVI at the age of 20. His reign began amidst growing discontent among the French populace, fueled by economic hardships, widespread poverty, and a burgeoning national debt exacerbated by France's involvement in the American Revolutionary War. Louis XVI, despite his good intentions, was ill-prepared to navigate the complexities of governance. He lacked the charisma and decisiveness of his predecessors, often relying on the advice of his ministers and courtiers, many of whom were entrenched in their own self-interests. The early years of Louis XVI's reign were characterized by attempts to implement reforms aimed at addressing France's financial woes and appeasing the discontented populace. He appointed reform-minded ministers such as Jacques Necker and Charles de Calonne, who proposed measures to overhaul the tax system, reduce royal expenditure, and alleviate the burden on the peasantry. However, Louis XVI's reform efforts faced staunch opposition from the nobility and clergy, who resisted attempts to curtail their privileges and tax exemptions. The king's indecisiveness and inability to assert this authority further hampered reform initiatives, leading to a deepening sense of frustration and disillusionment among the French people. The breaking point came with the convening of the Estates General in 1789, a representative assembly summoned by Louis XVI to address the financial crisis. The grievances of the Third Estate, representing the common people, were met with resistance from the nobility and clergy, leading to the formation of the National Assembly and the storming of the Bastille on July 14, 1789, signaling the onset of the French Revolution. Louis XVI's response to the revolutionary upheaval was marked by vacillation and indecision. He vacillated between concessions and attempts to assert his authority, culminating in the ill-fated flight to Varennes in 1791, where the king and his family attempted to flee France, but were apprehended and returned to Paris, further eroding his credibility and legitimacy. The fall of the monarchy became inevitable with the radicalization of the revolution and the rise of the Jacobin faction led by Maximilien Robespierre. Louis XVI was arrested and charged with treason by the National Convention in December 1792, marking the beginning of his trial. Despite mounting a spirited defense and proclaiming his loyalty to the French nation, Louis XVI was found guilty by the Revolutionary Tribunal and sentenced to death by guillotine on January 21, 1793. His execution sent shockwaves throughout European and sealed the fate of the Bourbon monarchy, ushering in a new era of Republican rule in France. Louis XVI's legacy is one of tragedy and missed opportunities. Despite his genuine concern for the welfare of his subjects and his efforts to implement reforms, he was ultimately unable to avert the collapse of the ancient regime. His indecisiveness, coupled with the entrenched opposition of the nobility and clergy, doomed his reign to failure. In death, Louis XVI became a martyr for the royalist cause, revered by monarchists and counter-revolutionaries as a symbol of legitimacy and continuity. His execution, however, also served as a stark reminder of the perils of absolute monarchy and the inevitability of change in the face of popular discontent. King Louis XVI of France remains a compelling figure in the annals of history, embodying the complexities and contradictions of the Bourbon monarchy. His reign, fraught with challenges and crises, ended in tragedy with his execution during the French Revolution. Yet, his legacy endures, serving as a cautionary tale of the dangers of absolutism and the need for responsive and accountable governance. Louis XVI may have been fated to preside over the twilight of the ancient regime, but his memory continues to resonate as a testament to the transformative power of revolution and the indomitable spirit of the French people.